Good morning, St Kitts and Nevis, and welcome to another edition of Voices here on WINN FM 98.9. Of course, I'm your host for today, as per usual on Wednesdays, Devon Cornelius, and welcome to another edition of Voices. Let me say thank you to all of you who have joined us via the different social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, and Mixlr, as well as those of you joining us via the website. And of course, we can't forget the radio. If you're driving, take your time. If you're eating, take your time. Whatever you're doing, take your time. Welcome to Voices for Wednesday. Today is the 3rd day of March 2020. I'm giving thanks for life. I'm not sure about you, but I would encourage you to give thanks for life. I mean, so many people did not wake up today, but we're here breathing the breath of life, and it is always good to be in the land of the living so that we can have new opportunities and explore new ways to make our country and this world a better place. So, good morning and welcome to Voices. Today we will be focusing on a fraction or a section of what took place at Leadership Matters last evening, March 2nd, where you had the Chief Executive Officer of the St Kitts Tourism Authority, Miss Raquel Brown, and she gave an insight as to how St Kitts and Nevis has been performing with regards to tourism, with the COVID-19 pandemic and the challenges they have been facing at the, in the tourism sector, and how we have been doing with the management of COVID. And because of that, people are wanting, there's a pent-up demand for people to come to St Kitts and Nevis because of how well we have been doing. Kudos to all those persons who played a very pivotal role in the management of COVID here in St Kitts and Nevis. And we have to be grateful for where we are today, understanding that things could change because that is life, that is likely. But we have to be thankful for the moment now. We have to be thankful for where we are. And yes, people are still struggling. Things are still hard with people. Some people are still out of work. Some people are still waiting for a change in the economy and, to get back to that state of normalcy. But, as long as COVID is here, then we're not sure how that would be. So we will be hearing from Raquel Brown, and it will just be her presentation that she made last evening. Again, talking about how we have been doing in tourism. And I want for you to listen to this one, and then I will open the phone lines for you to comment on what Ms. Brown said and for you to give your take on what Ms. Brown said. And, share some of your experiences if you work in the tourism sector as a taxi driver, as a restaurant worker, you work in the hotel, whatever position you may have in the hotel, or you are a tour operator. Basically, if you work in the tourism industry, call us, or if you know someone who work in the tourism industry, call us and share your experience or the experience of that person, with how they have been doing with regards to COVID and, the challenges, the advantages, the disadvantages they have had since the reopening of our borders in October. Yes, the borders are open and flights are coming in. People are coming to St. Kitts and Nevis to vacation, but we know it is not the same as it was before. Prior to COVID, it is not the same. Less people are traveling. So there is a significant decrease in people coming to St. Kitts and Nevis to vacation or to do business, whatever the case may be, because of the restrictions that have been, imposed on different travel destinations and all of that. Because there are some countries that you can't just jump on a flight and come directly to St. Kitts and Nevis. You have to go here and there and all over the place to get here. And so we have to really appreciate the fact that people go through all of that to get to St. Kitts and Nevis. St Kitts and Nevis is indeed a special place. So I'll be looking for your calls. And also, if you don't have the time to call, you can send us a WhatsApp at 662-2204, 662-2204. And I will be monitoring that platform where you can share your experience. And even if you don't work in the tourism industry, share your experience. You have been to hotels. Some of us have been doing, staycations. We have been eating at the restaurants. We have been doing tours with the tour operators here in St Kitts and Nevis. And so this should be an opportunity for you to share your experience, whether it would have been a bad experience, a good experience. That is what this would be about. But let me say thank you to all of you who took time out of your busy schedule to join us for another edition of Voices on WINN FM 98.9. We will take a short break to say thank you to our sponsors. Without them, this show would not have been possible. And when we return, we will hear from Miss Raquel Brown. She is the Chief Executive Officer of the St Kitts Tourism Authority.
You need a drink, have a Viva, Viva. You want some fun, get a Viva, Viva. Taste the flavor, have a Viva, Viva. Oh yeah, Viva is the one. Say goodbye to boring. Let me hear you sing. Got to have my Viva, water but so much better.
Viva sparkling flavored water. Water, but better.
Get ready for an exciting year with Flow Broadband and TV connecting you at home. Sign up now and get a free Samsung tablet worth over $900. Up to 100 megabits per second blazing internet will keep everyone on top of everything every day. While Flow TV delivers the best home entertainment with the latest shows on demand in HD plus favorites you can record. Visit your nearest Flow store today to sign up for Flow Broadband and TV and get your free Samsung tablet. Conditions apply.
Welcome back to Voices on WINN FM 98.9. I am your host for today, Devon Cornelius. And as I said, we will be hearing from Raquel Brown, the Chief Executive Officer of the St Kitts Tourism Authority. And she would be providing some details and update information on how we have been doing with regards to the tourism sector in the midst of COVID-19. She was at the time speaking on leadership matters on March 2nd, 2021. Have a listen. This is Raquel Brown, the Chief Executive Officer of the St Kitts Tourism Authority.
Evolutions of what has happened. We've heard of bubbles. We've heard of cruise tourism restarting. However, our protocols, and even though we were the last independent nation in the Caribbean to reopen, have helped us to be in the position that we are in now to help us to promote tourism and travel again to St Kitts and Nevis. We're not gloating, however, it is important for us to share with the world that sees St Kitts and Nevis about what we have to offer. But before we do that, we have to educate them on how we've managed the pandemic. And to the help of our CMO and to the task force, we've managed to have no deaths, no clusters, and no community spread. And with only 41 cases, it is a very, it's an extreme accomplishment. And last week, Minister Grant and I were on a call with cruise line partners for the Eastern Caribbean, including Jamaica. And everyone was quite shocked at how St Kitts and Nevis, our other tourism cruise partners, we had managed and mitigate the spread of COVID-19. What was sad as they gave their updates, every other nation, every other country that was on their their cases were over in the hundreds. So we must be grateful that we're in the position that we're in. We are quite optimistic. I am optimistic, and so is my team. It doesn't mean that we will not have challenges, but we'll be rebuilding tourism, and it will be a process, and it will take time. I will start quickly with cruise, because cruise is going to be the one that is most dependent on the vaccination rollout. To date, the CDC and the Biden administration in the United States, they have not moved forward with test cruises that were to start this month. However, we wait and we hear what they have to say. But what is clear is that there is one cruise line already, and it is Crystal Cruises, and it is one of the most high-end cruise lines. They do come to St Kitts. They've come to St Kitts in the past and to Nevis. They have already indicated that they will require all cruise passengers to take the vaccine. So we see that in the marketplace already a demographic of cruisers are going to be required to do this, to have the vaccine. Cruise, so we wait. We wait to see what happens. We haven't had test cruises yet, which will be the preliminary state for passenger cruising that they hoped would have started sometime March, April. However, we wait to see what happens, but we do know that the vaccination rollout is going to be very essential, and it is going to help in building out itineraries that St Kitts and Nevis will share. For stayover tourism for air arrivals, we opened in October, and we know that we've had visitation, but only about 25% of those persons were vacation-in place international travelers versus quarantine for returning nationals and residents. However, what is important to note is that the persons that are coming to St Kitts and Nevis, from the information we have received, is that where they do stay speaks to the demographic of Four Seasons, the Marriott, and Park Hyatt. So those persons are very intrigued by the destination, even though we still do not have the numbers that we had previously. They chose St Kitts and Nevis because of the travel requirements. Some of them have said it was very strict, but when they got here, they said, "Oh, this is why." So at the end of the day, as we move forward into Q1, we thought it was important for the first quarter of 2021 to speak through PR to get the word out about how we had done over the last 3 months. And over the last I would say over the last month or so, Minister Grant and I have been doing interviews with very esteemed media persons who can get the word out about St. Kitts. Minister Grant has done an interview with eTurbo News as it speaks to the destination, and it goes over both Spotify and SoundCloud, which is beyond the traditional Facebook and Instagram mediums. But what was important was that we reached persons as far as South Africa, and they were interested in the destination, not just for tourism, but for also persons who would like to buy a second home or thinking about relocating. We've also done interviews with traditional Caribbean journalists. However, one of the most important things is that when we do interviews with journalists, we do not decide what their header or what they're going to decide to write about. They ask us questions. And in the first destination coverage that was done through Caribbean Journal, the header was St. Kitts and Nevis model tourism reopening. And it had a lot to say, not just about us as a destination, but what is important was that it also compared with what was happening in other Caribbean destinations and how we managed COVID-19 to date and how we're mitigating it for international travel. Also, Travel Weekly, which is very well known for the travel trade, we were given the headline, a new definition of success in St. Kitts. It spoke to our travel protocols, what was happening on the destination, and as we reopen. In just 1 week, Travel Pulse featured St Kitts three times and recognizing us for our management of COVID-19. They had headings such as protocols, ignite, tourism, relaunch, safest destinations to visit in the Caribbean was the most recent one published on the 21st of February. So what is important is that the destination is not just getting publicity, but who we're getting publicity with in terms of journalists. And most important, yesterday, the Forbes Travel Guide published an entire feature on St Kitts and Nevis with advice on where to stay, where to eat, what to do and what to see. And many persons in our demographic read Forbes magazine because it does speak to wealth, it speaks to investment, it speaks to what's going on in the demographic that comes to St Kitts and Nevis. Also, the Points Guy, he features us later this, actually today, in an article about the best beaches in the Caribbean, and St Kitts was featured. So what we've been trying to do is to have a very heavy PR plan for Q1, and we hope that as we continue to do that, we were hoping that the vaccination rollout would continue in our source market. And as we've seen that we saw today that President Biden is rolling out additional support for additional vaccinations to move up from July to May for most persons in the United States to receive their first vaccine. So what this has been saying over the last couple of weeks with the development of the rollout of the vaccination is that there's been consumer confidence. Persons are feeling safer to travel, and so we believe with the PR that we speak about and the vaccination, we are hoping on April 1st to do our first active universal offer. Persons will be seeing the destination through Spot TV and other digital marketing channels, and it will not just be our traditional feeder market. We're going to focus on feeder markets such as Montana, Kansas. And the reason why I say that is because in the month of February, we launched as a part of our PR plan, Retie the Knot photo contest. And I know it sounds very simple. However, persons who would like to win a trip and come to St. Kitts, and they would win a trip by submitting their photo and give 75 words why they should be chosen. The trip is the reward of the trip is to come to St. Kitts in November to attend the group vow renewal that we're hoping will still take place. And vow renewals are a very popular thing for persons who have been married for more than a year. If you're married for 50 years, if you're married for 4 years. And we've seen from this contest just alone, we're picking up persons in those states such as Montana, Kansas, places like Idaho, places that we've never really had quite a big reach for St. Kitts. So what is important for us is that we're building out our PR for Q1. In Q2, as we see consumer confidence rebuild, we're hoping for stayover visitation to be incremental, and we know it's still rebuilding, so we know the numbers are not going to be as significant as they were in 2019 or 2018, but we're pushing the destination and we're ensuring that we have a long travel window and a long booking window to encourage persons to book, so that they don't have to feel that they're pressured to book now and then if something happens and they cancel. Flexibility is important in this promotion that we're doing, and so we'll be pushing that between April 1st to September 5th when the promotion was running. Thereafter that, we will focus on Q4, which is the winter, and all indications based on the rollout of the vaccine and consumer confidence for the US market is indicating that there's pent-up demand for travel in our demographic. And so it is important for us to be ready in the marketplace to promote the destination in Q4. So for us, we're optimistic. I'm not saying that it is going to happen overnight. It's rebuilding tourism, but we know if we rebuild tourism, it has the ability for not just the traditional sector such as our hotels, but our non-traditional sector such as our a la rub vendors, our primate vendors, our craft vendors, persons who have found another source of income to become dependent on over the last 5 years with the increase of tourism. So I say to everyone that is in the tourism industry, I ask you to please take the vaccine. It is essential for rebuilding and continuing the reopening and lessening the restrictions for tourism so that we can have more visitors come to the destination. Thank you.
Raquel Brown. She is the Chief Executive Officer of the St Kitts Tourism Authority. And as I said earlier, she was giving an insight as to how we have been doing with regards to, people coming to St Kitts and Nevis for vacation or whatever the case may be. She made reference to the fact that people are feeling safe to travel to St. Kitts and Nevis, because of our management, of COVID and how well we have been doing. She also made reference to people not just traveling here because they probably want to have a vacation, but people are looking to relocate to St. Kitts and Nevis because of how well we have done. And again, it's not to boast or say, we're doing this, we're doing that, but be grateful for the now situation. Be grateful to see that, we are pretty much in a good situation here. We were featured 3 times because of our management, and of course they referred or they suggested, you eat here, you dine there, you vacation here instead of there, different hotels and inns and restaurants and whatever in St. Kitts and Nevis. The phone lines are open. We are taking your calls at 466-0989, 762-0989, and 662-0989. We also have our WhatsApp number at 662-2204, 662-2204, where you can send us your comment, your take on what Miss Brown said, and you can be a part of the show basically by talking with us here on Voices via that WhatsApp number. Again, the number is 662-2204. The phone lines are open. What I would say, or what I would like to add to that, yes, we have been doing very well, and of course we have had challenges. So apart from people saying that, St. Kitts and Nevis has been doing well, and there has been an uptake in the tourism sector, the reality is it is not back at a level of normalcy, and we don't know when we will get back to that point because COVID is pretty much still here. However, with the rollout of the vaccines all around the world, across the world, and of course here in St. Kitts and Nevis with the AstraZeneca vaccine, the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, the CEO, she also took the opportunity to encourage people who work in the tourism sector to vaccinate, to take the vaccine, and to be a part of that process to get us back to a state of normalcy. However, you may have some countries that get to that rate where they're saying, look, we want to vaccinate 80% of our population, or we want to vaccinate 70%, 60%, whatever the case may be. But what about those countries that we feed off of? Because most of our tourists and most of the people that travel to St. Kitts and Nevis, they come from the United States, they come from Europe, they come from the UK. What if they don't get to that point of vaccination where they're saying, look, we want to vaccinate 90%, but they're lagging behind and they're only at, let's say, 40%, just drawing a reference. So in the Caribbean, again, drawing a reference, in the Caribbean, we're all vaccinated, we get to that 70% or 80% rate of vaccination. But the countries that we depend heavily on, they have not been able to get to that point. So they're saying to vaccinate so that things could get well, which is, I understand that. But what do you do when the people who we depend on, because our bread and butter is tourism, we depend heavily on tourism. What do you do when they don't get to that rate? We have our first call for the morning. Caller, good morning. You are live on Voices.
Morning.
Good morning. How are you?
There is a time lag between when you talk on the radio and when it comes to the phone. Good morning to all the listeners at home and abroad. It's great to be alive in the month of March, my month. So good morning to all the marchers out there. Mad Hatters. Now, well, last night I fell asleep. So I did not hear the thing, but listening to what the CEO of the tourism, CEO she is, or the tourist board or whatever, I was quite impressed. You know, because most people sit down and wait and hope. Now is the time to make a move. And I was glad to hear that they're thinking of diversifying their market, because it has to be done. And as she explained or revealed, some of the cruise ship, one in particular, she said, require their passengers to be vaccinated before they can travel.
Right.
It's going to happen, you know, because the airline, one of the airlines already asking for it. Because you see, what they don't want, everybody trying to protect themselves. Because, you know, the industry is just about collapse. And even though it may seem hard to us looking in, you can't imagine the disaster, bankruptcy. Some of them have had to sell some of their planes and their boats. You know that?
Mm-hmm. Lay off a lot of staff and so, yeah.
Oh, you didn't know that?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, they had to sell a lot of their boats. Sell their boats and just to get the accounts kind of even up. Get rid of the assets. Airlines, now people are even questioning. Some of them have been parked up so long. Since they start flying again, we start having airline accidents. And people are asking it because they have not been well maintained. So I must give them a little credit for innovation, because that's the word, eh? Innovation has to do with looking at a different way of doing the same thing. And we complain about no transparency. Well, that is transparency, yeah? You hear it now. And so I keep praying for my country. I keep praying for the country. You ask a question. The question is simple, you know. Might is right. You don't know that?
I didn't hear what you said. You repeat that?
You.
I didn't hear you, Miss Henry. Hello?
I said might is right.
Uh-huh.
That is the doctrine out there for the developed countries. Because you're asking what happens if we get our 80 and they get 20. They're allowed to sanction, eh? They have the power to sanction, and not only sanction, you know, they then turn around and pressure their allies into further sanctioning you, so that they not only do it themselves. The pressure they put, look at when they had the 9/11. 9/11, they get bombed. They make every other country find money to bring the security of their ports up to their level when you can't even afford to buy bread. That's what we're talking about. So they are going to do what they think is in their best interest of their population. All they have to do, when they come, we put 14 days on them still. Simple. You want to come and you haven't been vaccinated or nothing. You know, there are 14 days. You don't fall into the trap like Barbados and other countries who were coerced into having 2 days. 2 days and so. 2 days, 5 days. And next thing you know, the country has more COVID than they can handle. So we're calling upon our government, you know. While it is we want our tourism to start, try and find the right balance between livelihood and living. That's what I have to say for now.
Right. Thank you so much for your input, Mrs. Henry. Good observation. Let us take a break to say thank you to our sponsors. If we have no calls, without them, this show would have been possible. Stay tuned for Voices on WINN FM 98.9. We will be right back.
For an exciting year with Flow Broadband and TV connecting you at home. Sign up now and get a free Samsung tablet worth over $900. Up to 100 megabits per second blazing internet will keep everyone on top of everything every day. While Flow TV delivers the best home entertainment with the latest shows on demand in HD plus favorites you can record. Visit your nearest Flow store today to sign up for Flow Broadband and TV and get your free Samsung tablet. Conditions apply.
Welcome back to Voices on WINN FM 98.9. I'm your host for today, Devon Cornelius. And for those of you who tuned in late, we were listening to Raquel Brown, the CEO of the St Kitts Tourism Authority, and she was providing some insight as to how we have been doing with regards to tourism amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. And, because of how we have been doing with the management of COVID, people are dying to come to St Kitts and Nevis. People are wanting to come to St Kitts and Nevis. Some have said that the travel requirements are strict, but when they get here, they're like, oh, okay, we see why it's so strict, because we are trying to do our best in managing the pandemic. When this whole thing started, we were like, man, these things are too strict. I can't do this, I can't do that. But we have to adhere to the protocols to make sure that all goes well. We're not perfect, we're human beings, things may go wrong, but we have to try our best in making sure that we continue to do well. But apart from what Ms. Brown said in regards to us or people wanting to come to St. Kitts and Nevis and us doing relatively well with tourism in the COVID-19 situation, you can't ignore the fact that there are still people who worked in the industry. You still cannot ignore the fact that there are people who worked in the industry and people who are working in the industry are suffering and are meeting some serious challenges. Now, that is no fault of theirs. That is no fault of governments across the region or the respective governments, but it is the reality. And we want to hear, some of the experiences that they have had. If you run a restaurant and the restaurant is now open, prior to COVID, you're accustomed to have, 50 people there at the same time. Now you have 10. It could be because people are not making money, so they're not eating out anymore. And two, because of the protocols. You can't have 50 people in the restaurant, especially if it's a small restaurant, at the same time. So we have had to make a lot of adjustments, a lot of changes with COVID. We have another caller on the line. Caller, good morning. You are live on Voices.
Yeah, good morning, man. How are you, man?
Good morning. I'm doing good. And you?
Yeah, pretty good, pretty good. Yeah, I just wanted to address the lady that was talking. You say her name was Miss Brown?
Yes, Raquel Brown, the CEO of the Tourism Authority.
Yeah, I was wondering why, number one, there wasn't any mention of like nationals, like St Kitts and Nevis nationals that's living abroad. There's a lot of nationals that's abroad, primarily in the United States, that I'm feeling that they're waiting to get an opportunity to come home, because there's people here that's probably want to get away anyway. You know, is any thought has been put into, you know, making any type of provisions for the nationals to come home? I notice when they talk about tourism, they're not focusing. They're just talking about foreign tourists, period. But there are a lot of nationals that's out there that's just sitting there waiting patiently to get that opportunity to come home as well. You know, some of them, they're thinking about the quarantine and the money that they got to pay to get to quarantine. You know, they're objecting to that amount of money having to be paid to quarantine. And also, I make an observation that they're talking about targeting the central part of the United States, you know, some states that's out there in the Midwest. But how come they're not targeting like West Africa? Shouldn't they be targeting places that has less cases of COVID virus? And when it's time for passengers and tourists to come down to St Kitts and Nevis, are they going to be phasing in the passengers then based on the severity of the COVID situation in those countries? Like, for instance, America situation is really bad. So are they going to be like putting America down at the bottom of the list in terms of getting tourists attracted from that area? And places like Africa, West Africa, that has less COVID, shouldn't they be targeting areas like that? And I'll listen off the ear, man. That's my contribution.
Thank you so much for your contribution. Very, very good observation that you made there. Thank you so much for your call. If I may start off with regards to the nationals living abroad, I think you would have to apply. Before I get to that, let me take this call. Good morning, caller. You are live on Voices.
Good morning, Mr. Cornelius.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm all right.
Awesome. Good to hear.
I think a week ago, or could be 2 weeks ago, I said that with the coronavirus have closed down. I work in the hotel industry here. And a week ago, I said that we should now focus on a black tourism, because we now have flights coming from Nigeria to Jamaica and can trickle down into the Caribbean. Your last caller just mentioned something that I was about to doze off, and it awakened me. So, yeah, I mean, you know, the West is dying. The West is dying, and we need to wake up. Black tourism, the continent have human capital, and we can focus on black tourism. All my years I work here in the industry, I always used to ask myself, when are we going to see a resort that have black tourists? You know, like 60% of the people that stays in this resort would be black tourists. So I just got the gist of that last caller, so I just thought I'll share that too. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your input. We'll take just a few more calls, 2 or 3 more calls, and then I would wrap up with a response to the previous caller regards to, non-nationals living abroad and targeting places that have less cases of COVID-19 and those countries that have been managing the pandemic quite well. So the numbers to call are 466-0989-762 and 662. And we also have WhatsApp at 662-2204. We have another call. Good morning, caller. You are live on Voices.
Yes, I'm calling back to respond to comments made by two callers. The first one is about nationals living abroad not wanting to pay the quarantine fees or even for the test. No, nationals abroad, listen to me carefully. In Barbados, when my daughter came back from Suriname, they were put up in what I would consider to be like a tent, an open area, where beds were almost touching beds. You understand? And in one section, she said, even some people who are positive were in the same kind of a thing. At one of those in Barbados, in one of the army places. Are our people willing to come down here and live in those conditions? Because we have to be honest. You don't want to pay the money, so where are you to stay? Now, during vacation time, you can say, well, put them in a school. Would you suggest the government clean up the old Darcy High School and put them in there? Because we got to ask the question, where can they stay? You don't want to pay. You can't afford to pay. If you listen, you would have heard that the government has to pay TDC, who owns the government quarantine site, for all the amenities. So we have got to be reasonable. Just like if somebody have sale and you don't have the money, you can't say that somebody must let you take the goods. I understand and I empathize, you know. I empathize with you. You want to come. You have enough time to start saving your money. Start saving. Because even to suggest that you stay at a home, it costs more. You have to provide security. You see what I'm saying, Cornelius?
Yes, I'm listening.
Yeah. So you got to make up your mind. What kind of conditions are you willing to live under? Because they have the camp up there. They could put up some tents up there. And all who can't afford it, you put up some cots. There are alternatives, but you see, if you go that way, you're going to still hear people complaining. Now, I want you maybe after lunch you heard this thing about the UE report with the debt for asset swap?
No, I did not. I'll have to take a listen of that.
It was in the news. I thought you put the news together.
No.
Yeah, with all these Caribbean countries owing UE millions of dollars. And they mentioned Dr. Harris, because I think he must be the spokesperson for education and health. Talking about some of them 50 million and whatever. But try and listen to it at lunchtime. And then, so I am encouraged. And the one about the Nigerians coming here, you ever have any idea how much it costs to come down here? Just to go from St Kitts to Jamaica, direct. It costs over $3,000 a night. Do you know that?
Yes, I'm aware that it's quite expensive, yes.
Quite expensive, so they're going to already pay maybe the next $3,000 from Nigeria to Jamaica, and then the next $3,000 to come here, to have to go and stay in the high price hotels them. If there was a flight, unless they're going to come to Jamaica and then come down, because it would be cheaper, right? They could consider coming down to Miami, since we have American Airlines and so coming in. That's another option. But it would be nice to have them. But you have to target, when you say Nigerian, please to say the rich ones. Because I think we have all kind of illusion in our head. The rich ones could afford to come. We welcome them. Africa have a lot of rich people, rich black people. And I don't know if you don't notice the cruise ships, because I used to go down to the Port Zante. On Fridays, a lot of black people, Bay, Johns, and other islands used to come through,
Right. Right. Thank you, Ms. Henry, for your input. We will close off the phone lines right now, and let me just wrap up with some of the input from the previous callers. With the caller that was referring to the non-nationals living abroad, particularly in the U.S. or in the United Kingdom or any other country, well, there is a process in place where you would have to apply to come home. You would have to fill out the COVID-19 travel form, and of course, you would have to take your PCR test 72 hours before travel. However, there is a cost associated with coming back home. You would have to quarantine for the 2 weeks, and you would have to pay. The cost, I believe, is, the last time I checked, it was at $500. That's 500 US dollars. I would have to definitely back check that, but it is at 500 US dollars. The thing is, the $500 is not for the government, it is for TDC, which they own, OTI, or whatever other quarantine facilities. The government, the government is not benefiting from people coming home and paying the money to quarantine. At the same time, we have to understand that there are non-nationals living abroad, and they would not be in a position to pay such a cost to quarantine. Not everybody would be in a position to pay $500 to quarantine for the 2 weeks. So we have to understand that. And as I like to say, unless you're in the position, you may never understand what it feels to be in that position. But it is something that we would have to work towards too, because I don't expect anybody to get up today and say, look, I have $500. Here is it for quarantine. Of course, you would have to work over a period of time to save $500 so that you could come back home. The reality is, you can't just have everybody coming back home to quarantine for these 2 weeks to use electricity, water, and all of these things for free, because we would be running at a loss. But you have to take into consideration that there are a number of nationals overseas who are not working. They have been unemployed since last year, and they're basically living on handouts and whatever the case it may be. We understand that, and so the government would have to work on a plan. I think in some cases they do make an exception, but I can only imagine how hard it would be for you to pay 500 US to quarantine. At the same time, it is something for you to work towards too. The suggestion the caller made with the Tourism Authority targeting those places that have less cases of COVID, that is a wonderful suggestion. Yes, we depend heavily on the UK, the United States, and those countries, but the reality is they are not doing well with COVID. They are not doing well. Every day we hear of the significant increases in community spread and the cases, and people dying left, right, and center. So that suggestion by the caller, in my opinion, is a very good one, where you refocus your approach, where you target those countries that have managed the pandemic really well. Because if we are managing the pandemic well here, we have no clusters, we have no community spread, the cases are low, we have all been vaccinated, and then we are targeting countries that have not been doing so well, and they come here, it, in my opinion, it puts us at a major risk. Because here we are doing good, managing well, people are getting vaccinated, but then we are opening up, of course, with the protocols and quarantine and all of that, but it provides room for somebody to slip through the crack. And so that suggestion is definitely a good one, where you target those countries that have been doing tremendously well with regards to the COVID-19. There was a caller that said, he longed for the day to see, black people. Well, black people do come here, but he was not saying that they don't come here. black people do come here, but I understand definitely where the caller is coming from. But again, it has to do with which country you are targeting. It has to do with the countries that you are targeting. It would be nice to target those countries that are doing well, places like Nigeria and those different countries within the continent of Africa. The CEO did make mention of, or she made mention rather, of the fact that they have been able to reach people in South Africa. So it's not just the United States, it's not just the United Kingdom or Europe, but people in other countries we have been able to reach with the marketing strategies at the St Kitts Tourism Authority. But just to touch on that part about the nationals coming back home, some persons are not in a position to pay $500 US. Others are. But sometimes we really have to put ourselves in their shoes and say, boy, would I be able to afford $500 US, which is about $1,300, about in that range? Would I be able to afford such a cost? We really have to put ourselves in people's shoes sometimes and understand. Unless we're in their position, we may not be able to understand. At the same time, everybody can't come home and, use up water, use up electricity, and not pay for it. Because at the end of the day, somebody would have to pay for it, whether it is a private company that are offering the services or whether it is the government. Before we wrap up, I just wanted to touch on something else. There was a little comment on Facebook that was saying, not on our live stream, of course, that was saying that people should be allowed to quarantine at home without security. That is absolutely, in my opinion, ridiculous. Because we know that people are not going to follow the rules. You have a family of 5 coming back home. You allow them to quarantine at home. Next news, you at Value Mart shopping, and they're in the line with you. So to allow returning nationals to quarantine at home with no security to make sure that they stay there is a major risk. It is a major risk. And you would be opening up the country to a disaster. Because people are going to come and they are not going to stay home. They are not going to stay home. They're going to say, "Oh, I don't have any COVID, so I could go here, I could go there." So I don't support that call or that suggestion that I saw a few days ago, where you're saying allow people to come and quarantine in the house. That is a poor suggestion. And if it happens, it would be a disaster. It would be a hot mess. That is my take on it. Somebody else may have a different opinion. Thank you guys so much for listening to Voices. This was the first half. Thank you to all of you who took time out of your busy schedule to listen. To those of you who joined us via Facebook, thank you so much for joining. For those of you via YouTube, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. And have a good lunch. We'll take a break now for the headline news, and we will return at 12:30 to continue this program, Voices, the 3rd day of March 2021. Have a good lunch. I was your host for this morning, Devon Cornelius.
Found the sound. 98.9 WINN FM.
We now bring you the headline news. The headline news is brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, KDP Enterprises, The Grange, and Carib Brewery.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world. Whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous, you can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea or air. We get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises, telephone number 466-9595.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built non-governmental healthcare organization on St Kitts, offering 24-hour nursing, therapeutic and residential care for older adults? It's situated at Otley, 7 miles east of Vastair in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodation to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020, fax 466-8221, or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com, or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
We are faced with tough decisions every day, but choosing the right home or motor insurance shouldn't be one. You need fast claim settlement from a company that's been rooted for over 31 years. And don't forget the A Excellent rating by AM Best. Make the intelligent choice. Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Reliable insurance that you can count on. Get a quote today for your home, motor, contents, and liability insurance needs, and make the intelligent choice. Caribbean Alliance. Tomorrow secured. Local agents, Dalil Walwyn & Co. Limited. Telephone 465-2631 or 469-5303 for the Nevis office.
With the WIN Headline News, I am Kevon Brown. Making the headlines, National Assembly meets Thursday, March 4th. 300 pounds of cocaine found in Jamaica. Internationally, Brazil on Tuesday, March 2nd, posted its highest number of deaths from COVID-19 in a single day as political infighting exacerbated the country's health crisis and the pace of its vaccination rollout faltered. Now, the details. The National Assembly meets Thursday, March 4th. Prime Minister Dr. Timothy Harris is expected to introduce and have read a first time the Gaming Control Bill 2021, Non-Government Organization Amendment Bill 2021, Miscellaneous Financial Services Amendment Bill 2021, and Virtual Assets Amendment Bill 2021. He is expected to move the second reading of the Income Tax Amendment Bill 2021, which had its first reading on November 17, 2020. Minister of Health et al., Mrs. Akila Byron Nisbet, will introduce and have read a first and a second time the COVID-19 Prevention and Control Amendment Bill 2021. Minister of Foreign Affairs and Aviation Mark Brantley will introduce and have read a first time the Civil Aviation Amendment Bill 2021. Attorney General and Minister of Justice and Legal Affairs Vincent Byron Jr. will move the second reading of the Magistrates Code of Procedure Amendment Bill 2021, which had its first reading on February 18, 2021. As well as the Criminal Procedures Amendment Bill 2021, which had its first reading February 18, 2021, and the Jury Amendment Bill 2021, which also had its first reading on February 18, 2021.
The region's top tertiary institution aims to offer the inspiration once provided by the West Indies cricket team in its heyday when it dominated the game across the globe. So says UWI Vice-Chancellor Sir Hilary Beckles.
We have taken on this responsibility in light of the fall of our 5 generations of West Indian Test cricket excellence. We have taken on this mantle that UWI will provide that psychological and emotional role for the people of the West Indies. We will be the light shining on the hill, inspiring each generation to go forward in pursuit of excellence. And we have taken on that responsibility. We have taken on that mantle. And this university is now that shining light on the hill for our people, especially for the younger generation.
Addressing the media Tuesday, March 2nd, Sir Hilary highlighted the vision for the university, even as he offered details on the financial challenges facing the public institution.
Expenditure containment, that's the first point. We go to the second point, which is further reduction of expenditure through a One UWI initiative. Then we go to the third point, and we are moving point by point. So here we are now with the third point in our 10-point plan. We are now shifting to the revenue side of the balance sheet. So far, we've been looking at the expenditure side. Of course, each time you reduce expenditure, of course, that can be added to the savings. But critically, we realize that we cannot cut this university into the future. The only way we can move into the future with a new financial model, financial sustainability, is to drive revenue. And this is the point I made at the very beginning, that we are going to convert our reputation into revenue. So here is our third point, where we are going to transition the open campus into a global campus. We are working this through our university approval process, where the open campus will continue its journey to become a global campus. And we are hoping to have this strategy, the business plan, presented to council in the middle of this year, so that we can begin the process of transitioning the open campus, which is 10 years old, transitioning out to the global campus. Why should we have 10,000 students in the open campus when we can have 100,000 students in the global campus?
He said some of the top universities in the world want to work with UWI because of its reputation as a first-class institution, and offered examples of the UWI move to roll out a global network.
Some of the finest universities in the world, they all want to partner with UWI because our reputation is pristine and elevated. The European Union, we reached out to them. We want to be in Europe, now Brexit. We said we want to be there to help our business people with access to Europe now in their post-Brexit environment. And the European Union agreed, and they said to us, well, build out a relationship with the European Union University. We signed a contract, we signed an MOU, and now we have a center, a UWI center in the European Union. And why are we there? To protect our economic interests in the Caribbean. We have a center in Havana. We are the first university in the world to be invited by the University of Havana, which was established in the 1730s, to work with us. Medical technology, biotechnology, natural products, pharmaceuticals, to work with them so that we can develop value for the people of the region. We have a center in China. The president of China came to the Caribbean and signed a contract, a treaty for technology transfer. Now we have a center there thanks to the government of China. We are now in New York with SUNY, the State University of New York. The State University Board has just approved a joint master's degree, UWI and SUNY, and we expect to have hundreds of students. So basically, we are rolling out a global network. And in all of these instances, I want to emphasize, this is no cost to us. This is universities in the world welcoming UWI into their campuses.
Home Affairs Minister in St. Lucia, Herman Francis, awaits a day he can expose skeletons. HTS News Source has this report.
We have people on the talk shows who have been convicted who use obscene language, do everything. And I don't see you all bringing it out.
National Security Minister Hermangild Francis in a media scrum outside Parliament last week, taking a swipe at commentators for allegedly stoking divisions and politicians for their supposed indiscretions. Francis, who took jabs at media personnel for allegedly fanning the flames of civil discord, was asked about his perceived shortcomings. He shot down these queries and instead diverted attention to politicians he alleges have been less than competent and forthright in their affairs.
Allegations that they're leveling against you regarding your domestic affairs.
What domestic affairs? I've never been arrested. There's never been a report at any police station against me. And so persons are just using all sorts of things. I mean, if you go and you investigate all politicians, you will see those who have skeletons within the closet. And they are the ones being portrayed as heroes, persons who have criminal records.
Francis, who has a law degree, made some shocking allegations outside Parliament on Thursday regarding politicians and crimes, which, although not specific, more than just imputed improper motives.
Are you really saying that there are people in our Parliament you know of who are involved in homicides?
This Parliament? No. If you're doing your investigations, I said in this Parliament, no. But if you have done your investigations, you'll find out. You'll know. It is always it's there. It's there for everybody. Okay, depending on what side of the fence you are, you're a hero or you're a villain.
The minister alleges that the same politicians supposedly implicated in shady activities have been made to account. A statement some critics argue is debatable. But he did not stop there, as the View Fort South hopeful not only proceeded to lecture reporters on media coverage, but also talked up his desire to one day join the field of journalism.
When I leave the governance of this country or politics, I want to get into journalism. Because I will definitely, when I start going at certain people, you will understand what's happening.
The intersection of the personal and professional lives of politicians is often heavily scrutinized, given that as public figures, they are expected to be held to exacting standards. However, unfortunately, with weak institutions, the hyper-partisanship of the body politic, and a cultural indifference to the rule of law, some argue that hardly any politician in St. Lucia has ever been held accountable. Solange Alfred, HTS News Force.
£300 of cocaine found in Jamaica. Guyana News source has the story.
I'm Gordon Mosley. Here's what we're tracking. Narcotics police in Jamaica are probing the discovery of scores of packages with more than 300 pounds of cocaine, which were found in containers that arrived there in the island from Guyana. The discovery was made at the Kingston Freeport Terminal on Monday afternoon. Reports out of Jamaica indicate that the cocaine was found in 2 of 6 transshipment containers that arrived on the island from Guyana en route to Haiti and China. The Jamaica Observer reports that while searching the containers, narcotics police, accompanied by members of the Jamaica Customs Contraband Enforcement Team, reportedly found a total of 122 packages stashed in the containers. Each package contained cocaine. The packages of cocaine weighed 307 pounds and carries an estimated street value of more than $6.5 million. No one has been arrested in Jamaica in connection with the bust. Authorities in Guyana have been informed of the drug seizure, and head of the Customs Anti-Narcotics Unit, James Singh, informed news source this afternoon that a full local investigation is underway. Mr. Singh said the information sharing between the law enforcement authorities in Jamaica and Guyana has been flowing. He offered no additional details on the local probe. The latest drug bust in containers from Guyana followed 2 other drug busts internationally that were also linked to containers that were shipped from Guyana. In August last year, law enforcement in Germany found 1.5 tons of cocaine in a shipment of rice from Guyana. 3 months after that bust, more than 11 tons of cocaine was found in a shipment of scrap metal from Guyana. a wanted bulletin was issued for a local suspect who is still to be arrested. There have been questions about the operations of the container scanners at the city wharves that are operated by the Customs Department of the GRA. The Ghana Revenue Authority recently terminated the contracts for a number of container scanner specialists, while not linking those dismissals to any of the probes of the international drug bust.
We now bring you these international reports.
A battle of wills in the midst of tragedy, one that has killed more than 250,000 Brazilians in a year, the second highest death toll in the world. Local authorities shut down Brazil's capital city, Brasilia, to save the health system from total collapse. More than 90% of intensive care beds are occupied, and COVID-19 infections are on the rise. The emergency lockdown was met with anger by some, who took to the streets shouting, "We want to work." And President Jair Bolsonaro took their side. He threatened to punish governors and mayors who are pushing for lockdowns and curfews by cutting off federal assistance.
From now on, the governor who closes his state, who destroys jobs, will be the one who pays for the emergency aid.
But he offered no solution to the health crisis, the worst since the beginning of the pandemic. 20 out of Brazil's 27 state capitals have run out of beds in their intensive care units. And an estimated 70 Brazilians are dying every hour from COVID-19. Meanwhile, vaccines are slow in coming, and only 3% of the population has been inoculated so far.
If we do not stop the outbreak, we'll face a total collapse of the health system. We can increase the number of intensive care beds all we want, but if the number of infections continues to grow, there'll never be enough. The only solution is a 14-day nationwide lockdown, like other countries have imposed with success. But here we face a lack of leadership and total denial.
Several Brazilian states and the capital Brasilia have imposed restrictions to fight this second wave of the pandemic. But here in Rio de Janeiro, life continues pretty much as usual. People are making the most of their summer, staying on the beach, as you can see, until nightfall. But fears of a second wave and the total lack of unity in fighting the pandemic are affecting business. Carlo Fiori says he rarely leaves the house, but has decided to enjoy one last night out. He's sure things will get much worse before they get better. Monica Yanaki of Al Jazeera, Rio de Janeiro.
Another bloody crime scene in Jalisco State. 11 construction workers shot dead in Tonalá. It's the latest in what has become a seemingly endless cycle of senseless violence.
From the trajectory of the projectiles, which number more than 70 between short and long arms, it can be seen that the people were sitting on a bench, apparently waiting to be paid for their week's work, when suddenly 2 vehicles arrived.
Last weekend's attack was followed by another shooting 30 kilometers away in Lomas de Pedregal, killing at least 2 people. In Jalisco, even authorities admit the security situation has grown out of control.
Yesterday, 13 people lost their lives in 2 multiple homicides. All signs point to organized crime in Jauja, Tonalá, and in Lomas del Pedregal, Guadalajara.
In response to the increase in violent criminal activity in states like Jalisco, Guanajuato, and Michoacán, Mexico's president announced the deployment of additional troops from the National Guard.
Though there already is a presence, we will reinforce the presence of the National Guard, the Army and the Marines and the armed forces of these states. I've instructed this, I gave this order a month ago, and more elements are already being mobilized.
In Jalisco State, experts link the worsening violence to the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, or CJNG, believed to rival the Sinaloa cartel as Mexico's dominant drug gang. And in recent years, violence linked to the Jalisco cartel has spread to new parts of the country. The announcement of more National Guard troops being sent to Jalisco State is consistent with Mexico's national security strategy, a strategy that has been largely unchanged since the start of the country's militarized war on drugs 15 years ago. According to government statistics, since 2006, Mexico has recorded more than 300,000 violent deaths nationwide, most of which are believed to be tied to criminal activity. Manuel Rapalo, Al Jazeera, Mexico City.
Hospitals have been repeatedly bombed in what has been described as a systematic campaign to force the opposition to surrender. Hundreds of airstrikes by Syrian government and Russian warplanes have been documented throughout the years of conflict. Many advocacy groups, like Physicians for Human Rights, have tracked at least 595 air or artillery attacks on healthcare facilities in Syria since 2011. 2 years later, they were described as war crimes by UN investigators, who said the hospitals were being bombed to gain military advantage. But apart from condemnations, little else was done, and the rules of war continued to be ignored. The Russian and Syrian governments have denied targeting civilians or civilian buildings, despite evidence to the contrary, and international recognition of the widespread and sometimes deliberate nature of the attacks.
The health sector has been decimated. We know in northwest Syria, for example, the UN has said that 50% of health facilities are no longer functioning. We know that 70% of health workers have fled the country or been killed.
A survey by the International Rescue Committee showed the risks health workers and civilians faced in the past decade. 81% said they had a co-worker or patient injured or killed. 77% witnessed an average of 4 attacks on healthcare facilities. 68% were inside a health facility when it was attacked.
2 of the hospitals I was working in was hit. I survived, but the feeling is hard to describe. We all felt vulnerable. We all knew the risks of being in a hospital. It meant we could be killed.
A decade of attacks has also compromised the healthcare system and its ability to respond to the needs of millions of Syrians in opposition-controlled areas in the north. And the effects of the coronavirus pandemic are an added pressure on an already weak system where there is 1 doctor for every 10,000 civilians.
The situation is not good. There are millions of people in Idlib in the countryside of Aleppo. No matter how much aid we get, it's just not enough. We really suffer from a lack of medicines and medical equipment to treat chronic diseases.
A ceasefire appears to be largely holding, but it hasn't eased the humanitarian crisis. The violence has caused critical damage to Syria's health sector, affecting the ability of millions to receive proper health care. Sana Khudr, Al Jazeera, Beirut.
You were listening to the WINN FM headline news on 98.9. Our top stories were: National Assembly meets Thursday, March 4th. 300 pounds of cocaine found in Jamaica. Internationally, Brazil on Tuesday, March 2nd, posted its highest number of deaths from COVID-19 in a single day as political infighting exacerbated the country's health crisis and the pace of its vaccination rollout faltered. Thank you for listening.
That was the WINN FM headline news. The headline news was brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, KDP Enterprises, The Grange, and Carib Brewery.
We are faced with tough decisions every day, but choosing the right home or motor insurance shouldn't be one. You need fast claim settlement from a company that's been rooted for over 31 years. And don't forget the A Excellent rating by AM Best. Make the intelligent choice. Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Reliable insurance that you can count on. Get a quote today for your home, motor, contents, and liability insurance needs, and make the intelligent choice. Caribbean Alliance. Tomorrow secured. Local agents, Dalil Walwyn & Co. Limited. Telephone 465-2631 or 469-5303 for the Nevis office.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built non-governmental healthcare organization on St Kitts, offering 24-hour nursing, therapeutic, and residential care for older adults? It's situated at Otley, 7 miles east of Vastair in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodation to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020, fax 466-8221, or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com, or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib. It's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world. Whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous, you can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea or air. We get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises, telephone number 466-9595.
For an exciting year with Flow Broadband and TV connecting you at home. Sign up now and get a free Samsung tablet worth over $900. Up to 100 megabits per second blazing internet will keep everyone on top of everything every day. While Flow TV delivers the best home entertainment with the latest shows on demand in HD plus favorites you can record. Visit your nearest Flow store today to sign up for Flow Broadband and TV and get your free Samsung tablet. Conditions apply.
Horseroads Building and Nevis Centers are making lawn and garden easy. Come to Horseroads Building and Nevis Center now and get 25% off store-wide on our entire lawn and garden department. Yes! For the months of February and March, Horseroads Building Center and Nevis Center is making improving your lawn and garden easy with 25% off all garden supplies, garden equipment, garden accessories, including weed eaters, lawnmowers, and much more. Get 25% off all lawn and garden items happening now at Horseroads Building Center in St Kitts and Nevis. Horseroads Building and Nevis Centers, making home improvement easy.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Voices. We have a call on the line. Let us take this call. Oh, we seem to have lost that call. This afternoon we will be focusing on trying to educate the public as to how to get vaccinated. Believe it or not, there are some people out there that they don't understand the process. Before we get into that, let us take this call. Caller, good afternoon. You are live on Voices. Good afternoon, caller. You are live on Voices.
Okay, I'm hearing you now. Okay, thanks for taking the call. And first of all, give thanks to the sharing in the first half.
Yes.
And we look forward to the sharing in this half. We want to divert from the vaccine thing a bit, and we want to skip on a topic that we always, a lot to us. That is the littering.
Okay, sure, no problem.
Yes, we won't be long because we know we want to share your info. Amid the quest for good health and it's all about health and littering.
Oh, caller, we lost you. You can send us a message. You can send us your voice message. If you have WhatsApp, caller, if you're listening and you have WhatsApp, you can send us a voice note, a voice message via WhatsApp at 662-2204. 662-2204. So if you're still listening, you can send us your input via WhatsApp at 662-2204, or you can call us back at 466-0989-762 or 662. Welcome back to Voices for the second half. I am your host for today, Devon Cornelius. And as I said before, we will be focusing on trying to educate the listening public with regards to how to get vaccinated. The Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine is here, but believe it or not, there are so many people that don't understand the process. They don't understand the process. There seems to be a kind of confusion, or people seem to be a bit confused as to whether they should just show up at the health centers or if they have to make an appointment. So the information has not been very clear. Here at WINN FM, we sought our best to try to seek information from the relevant authorities, and we will be educating you on how to get vaccinated. It's a short clip. Have a listen. Okay, we seem to be having a bit technical difficulties. In the meantime, yes, we will be educating the public on how to get vaccinated. There are people out there that want to get vaccinated, but they are not sure. They're not sure whether they should go to the health center or if they should just walk or make an appointment or whatever the case may be. So this clip will explain to you. This clip will explain to you how the process is done. We'll take a short break to hear from the sponsors. Without them, this show would not have been possible. And when we return, we'll have that clip played for you.
Get ready for an exciting year with Flow Broadband and TV connecting you at home. Sign up now and get a free Samsung tablet worth over $900. Up to 100 megabits per second blazing internet will keep everyone on top of everything every day. While Flow TV delivers the best home entertainment with the latest shows on demand in HD plus favorites you can record. Visit your nearest Flow store today to sign up for Flow Broadband and TV and get your free Samsung tablet. Conditions apply.
Horseroads Building and Nevis Centers are making lawn and garden easy. Come to Horseroads Building and Nevis Center now and get 25% off store-wide on our entire lawn and garden department. Yes! For the months of February and March, Horseroads Building Center and Nevis Center is making improving your lawn and garden easy with 25% off all garden supplies, garden equipment, garden accessories, including weed eaters, lawnmowers, and much more. Get 25% off all lawn and garden items happening now at Horseroads Building Center in St Kitts and Nevis. Horseroads Building and Nevis Centers, making home improvement easy.
Welcome back to Voices on WINN FM 98.9. As I was saying before, we will be educating you on the process to vaccinate. What are the steps that one would have to take to get vaccinated? Whether you have to just make an appointment or if you just walk up to a community center within your area, within your district, and ask to be vaccinated. So we decided to do a short clip, a very short clip, explaining the steps and the procedures and the entire process as to how one would be able to get vaccinated. We will have this clip played right now for you.
With St Kitts and Nevis now in possession of more than 20,000 COVID-19 vaccines and stepping up its vaccination drive, how do you access the jab? WINN called the recommended 311 hotline and was greeted by a responder who said there were two ways a vaccine could be accessed. An individual could visit a nearby health center and wait in line or book an appointment and wait to be contacted. People over 80 are asked to check with their doctor before taking the vaccine. Officials have indicated that appointments could be achieved 2 days after they are booked, but that depends on how many people are trying to access the service. Information required when making the appointment includes name, age, occupation, address, a phone number, and information on any existing health conditions. The process at the clinic involves COVID-19 vaccination cards for individuals receiving their first dose of AstraZeneca. The second dose is to be administered 10 weeks later. The Federation is also awaiting the arrival of 21,600 vaccines from the COVAX facility.
let's have that played just one more time. You probably had somebody who tuned in late, so let's have that clip played just one more time.
With St Kitts and Nevis now in possession of more than 20,000 COVID-19 vaccines and stepping up its vaccination drive, how do you access the jab? WINN called the recommended 311 hotline and was greeted by a responder who said there were two ways a vaccine could be accessed. An individual could visit a nearby health center and wait in line, or book an appointment and wait to be contacted. People over 80 are asked to check with their doctor before taking the vaccine. Officials have indicated that appointments could be achieved 2 days after they are booked, but that depends on how many people are trying to access the service. Information required when making the appointment includes name, age, occupation, address, a phone number, and information on any existing health conditions. The process at the clinic involves COVID-19 vaccination cards for individuals receiving their first dose of AstraZeneca. The second dose is to be administered 10 weeks later. The Federation is also awaiting the arrival of 21,600 vaccines from the COVAX facility.
So that was a short clip explaining the vaccination process here in St Kitts and Nevis in regards to getting the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine and the steps that one would have to take to access the vaccine. The health authorities and the health officials have stressed that people older than 80 should consult with their doctor first if they are safe and if they're fit, rather, to take the vaccine. Now, there are two ways, according to the health officials, that one can take the vaccine. You can visit a health center and wait in line, and I guess you would have to fill out the necessary forms there. And the other way is you can simply make an appointment. You can simply make an appointment to take your vaccine. We have a call. Good afternoon, caller. You are live on Voices.
Good afternoon, Devon. How are you?
Good afternoon. I'm doing fine. And you?
I'm blessed.
Awesome.
You remember when the medical ship was here?
Yes. What year was
Remember,
it?
people were discouraging people and so on not to go. And then at the end, when the ship about to leave, friends tell friends and so on, what's not, and you the line.
Yes.
And then they wanted the ship to turn back.
Yes, yes, yes.
But this is how this thing here got in.
Mm-hmm.
People discouraging people from going to the vaccine. And when it's too late now, that's the time we're going to want to cry foul.
Yeah, and yeah.
So have a nice day.
Thank you so much for your input. I remember when the ship came here and there was a lot of talks going around that they came here to kill us. They came here to inject us with this and that. I remember that. I remember. I was fortunate to be able to take advantage of that opportunity to do a checkup. And I had to travel all the way from Nevis to the St. Paul's Community Center. And I stood in line for about 3 or 4 hours before I was able to get to a doctor. And the first few days was very slow. It was very, very slow. According to the pictures that I saw, you had the most probably 20 or 30 people in line. When I went there to do a checkup, you had hundreds of people. It was literally a mass gathering. But, you know, to be on the fair side, people would always be a bit skeptical about, you know, new things and changes. People would always be skeptical because people would say, oh, let he go first. Let me see what happens to him. And then if he's good, I'll go after, you know. So that's the reality. People are going to be, I don't know about this vaccine, or I don't know about this, or about that. So I'm going to wait a while and see how it goes. And let me know how you feel after a while, you know. So I understand that, but I definitely remember when that took place, and it was crazy to see how many people went in the last day, and there were some people who were so upset because they did not get that opportunity to get a checkup free of cost. And I think there were people who needed glasses, and the ship, they were giving away free glasses. You had to go and visit the eye doctor, and there were so many people who wanted to, take advantage of the opportunity, and they were unable to do so. I hope this will not be the case with the vaccine, where people who actually need the vaccine are saying, I am going to wait it out. I mean, for me, I'm speaking for myself, I would take it eventually. But it is my decision to make if I decide I want to take it next week instead of tomorrow. That is my decision to make, But at some point, we would have to take the vaccine to make sure that we get back to a state of normalcy globally. The phone lines are open, guys, and we are welcoming your calls, and we would like for you to share your experience. If you have taken the vaccine, share your experience. How did it feel? How was it? How do you feel after taking that jab of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine? We have a call. Good afternoon, caller. You are live on Voices.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm good.
Awesome.
I am good. And I will like everybody to not study people talking about the vaccine. Because if some of them get sick right now when they go to the hospital and they have to take a surgery, they don't even know where they will be when they don't get that. Okay? Nothing to the vaccine. People causing more problems to themselves than the vaccine. Who don't want to take it, don't take it. But when you reach to the doorstep and they see how people dying in other countries, you will see how everybody starts to get the vaccine. I listen to a doctor and I hear the doctor talking about people dying from the vaccine and it's water. I mean, the doctor spends so much years in college and come telling people this nonsense. He was supposed to be encouraging people to take the vaccine. Some of them talking about Cuban vaccine. It's the vaccine, then maybe it's just different company and they got different names.
Right.
Yeah,
that's true.
He said the same purpose. I can't be calling and discouraging people about Cuban vaccine. It's kind of different.
Mm-hmm.
If me ain't doing something, you might do the same thing, but you want to carry a different name and I'm going to carry a different name, but they're doing the same job.
Yeah, right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
I say nothing to the vaccine, something to the people them, and a lot of them misleading people, and they need to stop. Every time the government tries to bring up something, this particular person call himself a doctor. When the government tries to stop the crime, they say they're paying people. And now they're trying to get the vaccine to cool down this thing that the country could go back where it used to be. They're saying it's water and people dying from it. What's wrong with these people? Stop hesitate, okay? Take the vaccine, be safe, and let's see St Kitts and Nevis come back as it used to be. And that's all I got to say for now. And Brother Nabo, he's one spreading this other thing about Cuban vaccine, and got people now talking about the Cuban vaccine. The vaccine is that no different. It serves the same purpose, okay? And everybody go out and be vaccinated. For me, I got allergy to aspirin, so I will have to speak to my doctor to see which one vaccine will suit me, okay? And everybody be safe, vaccinate. Bye. Have a pleasant afternoon.
You too, and thank you so much for your call. Have a wonderful afternoon and keep enjoying your time. And thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for your input. Yes, so call us today and share your experience with the vaccine. If you have taken the vaccine, tell us how do you feel. And let me say thank you to that caller for that clarion call in encouraging people to get vaccinated. But call us today and share your experience as to how it feels to take the vaccine. Or how do you feel now after you have taken the vaccine. Do you feel different? Do you have a fever, a slight headache? Of course, there will be a little pain in the arm because, there was your jab with the needle, which is likely there will be, a little pain. But call us and tell us, well, I took the vaccine and this is how I feel. And I would want to encourage others to get vaccinated. Encourage others to get vaccinated. What I would do, I would encourage people to do your own research and try to listen out on different campaigns that are being done about the vaccines, whether it is the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine or the Pfizer vaccine, whatever other vaccine there is. Listen out and do your research, and then you make that judgment call and you make that decision whether you want to take it. However, I think, or I believe, it may get to a point where the vaccine may become mandatory because there are airlines, there are companies, there are organizations that are saying, well, you can't work here unless you're vaccinated. You can't come here unless you have received vaccine. And you can't participate in anything that we do because you have not been vaccinated. And so it may very well get to that point, just like when we were going to school and they were saying, look, you have to take this vaccine or you can't go to preschool or you can't go to kindergarten or you can't do this, you can't do that, So we understand that. If we have no calls, I want to say thank you to the sponsors real quick. Without them, this show would not have been possible. And when we return, we have a message in the WhatsApp. And we will get to that message when we come back.
Supermarket shoppers understand that convenience matters. At Hortsport's Value Mart IGA, we know that price matters most. Ample parking and the widest variety matter. At Hortsport's Value Mart IGA, we know that price matters most. Clean, spacious aisles and the highest level of customer service all matter. At Hortsport's Value Mart IGA, price matters most. We've renewed our commitment to guarantee the lowest prices in the Federation. Why? Because we understand that in this tough economic environment, price matters most. Shop smart. Shop Value Mart, where price matters most. Farms Estate Nevis and Wellington Road, St. Kitts.
Price matters most.
Get ready for an exciting year with Flow Broadband and TV connecting you at home. Sign up now and get a free Samsung tablet worth over $900. Up to 100 megabits per second blazing internet will keep everyone on top of everything every day. While Flow TV delivers the best home entertainment with the latest shows on demand in HD plus favorites you can record. Visit your nearest Flow store today to sign up for Flow Broadband and TV and get your free Samsung tablet. Conditions apply.
Welcome back to Voices on WINN FM 98.9. I'm your host for today, Devon Cornelius. We have some comments here on the WhatsApp number. Again, our WhatsApp number is 662-2204, 662-2204. And the first comment is, can you take the vaccine and drink alcohol? Or drink alcohol and go take the vaccine? I do not know how to answer that question, but I would encourage you to consult your doctor. So consult your doctor and ask them if it's safe for you to take the vaccine and drink alcohol, or drink alcohol and go and take the vaccine. So I would definitely encourage you to check with your doctor first if it's safe for you to drink alcohol and then go and take the vaccine. I'm not a medical practitioner or a medical expert, so I am not in a position to answer that question. However, I would encourage you to contact your nearest health center or hospital or your doctor, and they would be able to best advise you on that. What has been the root cause of this coronavirus, or where did it stem from? Well, COVID began in Wuhan, China, and it's now in St Kitts and Nevis. It's spread all over the world, and it became a pandemic. With regards to the root cause of the COVID-19 vaccine, I don't know exactly what caused it. So I can't say, well, this is what caused COVID, or this is what the reasoning behind as to why we have COVID. We had a call. We have a call on the line. Oh, we seem to have lost that call. Caller, you can call us back, definitely. You can call us back. But yes, COVID began in Wuhan, China, and it is now at a situation where it's global. It's all over the world, and countries are struggling to cope with the challenges that have been brought on by the pandemic. However, there have been, let's take this call. Good afternoon, caller. You are live on Voices.
Hi, Mr. Cornelius. I just heard you reading a question that if people can drink alcohol when or after taking the vaccine.
Yes.
Now, when doctors put you on tablets, they tell you cannot drink alcohol because of medical components in the tablets.
Right.
The same would apply for a vaccine. It's a medical vaccination. So if they tell you can't drink alcohol when you're taking tablets, the same would apply if you take a vaccine, because you're going to feel flu-like symptoms after taking the vaccine. So please, if you can inform whoever asked the question that drinking alcohol or consuming and taking the vaccine and taking medicine just don't go together. Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much for your input, caller. I would have to do some research on that because I don't know. I do not know if it is something that you should do or you should not do it. I know definitely if the doctor prescribes something for you and say, okay, look, you have to take this medication, you should not be drinking alcohol. I do not know if that is the same for the vaccine. I mean, you have said it, but I don't know if that is the same for the vaccine. But I would definitely do some research on that, and I would try to provide some information as soon as possible. In the meantime, there is a message. We had a caller earlier, and he dropped out because of some technical difficulties he was experiencing. So he sent us a voice message via WhatsApp, and I'll just have it played right now.
Greetings again. Do forgive the abrupt ending a while ago. My straight line ran out of credit. Give thanks for WhatsApp. Okay, we were in the midst of saying, that amid the quest for good health, with the global happenings, we are still seeing the nastiness around and about Bastille and beyond. When we walk a lot, ride bicycle and walk, and when we walk across certain areas, we are getting foul scent, stinking scent, unpleasant scent. Down at the waterfront where used to be the cinema, We are getting that sent across by the bank. We are getting that sent across by coming across Keon Street, betwixt T Dolphin Chicken Place and the Chinese Place and the church and other places. As we go through the communities, Newtown, McKnight, Village, etc., we are seeing litter in the alleys, in the drains, in the streets, and among the litters we are seeing mask. We are not seeing gloves as much as before, but we are seeing an abundance of masks. We have even started collecting masks. We are not using them, of course. We pick them up with stick and put them in bags to make sure that we have evidence, just in case we have to go further with our appeal. We think it is time. The time has been overdue, but in the midst of what is happening, the authorities are to implement everything necessary, every necessary policy for prevention of this and to decrease this and eventually to stop this. We have already gave suggestions as to how the authorities can go about this, and we will repeat: increase the fines, first offenders, you keep the fine there, second offenders, we increase the fine accordingly until it reaches the point of straight prison. And we are not talking about, every time we hear speaking trash on the radio, they're talking about people dumping in cane fields and across places where no one is inhabiting up to the time. Of course we don't agree with that, but we are talking about the little trash, the littering. As it is said by our ancestor, little trash, blind eye. That's a very, very, very wise proverb. And we have to start from even a treaty paper, a piece of Rizla where people smoking and tear a piece of paper and throw it down. The end of straws. We have to start with those little things. Zero tolerance to littering. Zero tolerance to littering. That's what we're talking about. And although the cleaning is on in earnest, the littering is more than the cleaning. Much more. So, solid waste, sometimes it seems to me that these people are wallowing in the nastiness, they are enjoying the nastiness, that the works can continue. We are saying that we have other works other tasks to jump on, and we can very well do without this nastiness and move on to other tasks that is there before us. That's what we wanted to share. Once again, sorry for the abrupt ending, and please share the foregone message with your listening audience. Advance thanks for doing so. Blessed love.
Thank you so much for that input. Again, our WhatsApp number is 662-2204. 662-2204. If you are unable to call us, you can send us a voice message, and you can send us your comment or your take, on what we are discussing here today That was not related to what we are discussing, but that definitely is a cause for concern, and I could agree with what the caller stated. But interestingly, or not interestingly rather, I was doing some research on whether you could take the vaccine and drink alcohol. I came across some information which says there is no official government recommendation on this, but the experts have said that it's not really something to worry about within reason. Research on both the Moderna and Pfizer-BioNTech vaccines didn't require trial participants to avoid alcohol, and their findings didn't mention people having issues after drinking. So I don't think it is the same as taking a medication and drinking alcohol and then getting vaccinated and drinking alcohol. I'm not a medical practitioner. I'm not a medical expert. So please don't quote me on this. But I would encourage you, my encouragement, because I can't advise you on this. I can't provide information on this. My advice to you is to call your doctor and ask them. That is my advice. Call your doctor and ask them, and they will be able to provide the information that you so desire. You are listening to Voices on WINN FM 98.9. I am your host for today, Devon Cornelius, and we are talking about the process or the steps rather, to take the vaccine. And we're asking persons to call us and share their experience as to how it was, or how do they feel now that they have taken the vaccine. I have seen some social media posts and that are saying that there was not enough campaign or information being disseminated about the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine and the vaccination process. Some people have said that, well, it was not done properly and it should have been done before. A comment on Facebook, I would not say who made that comment, but a comment on Facebook says the vaccination education sessions should have was to happen before the vaccination rollout, not after it starts and people are getting the vaccine. There was a comment under that post that says the majority of the population has not been vaccinated as yet. So whether it was done before or now, the point is it is being done. The persons vaccinated initially were also persons from the medical profession and government body who I'm hoping would have been privy to as much information as possible. The vaccine has also not been forced on anyone, so it's not like people took it and they did not know about it or know anything about it, if I may add. So people should listen to the now available information and make an informed decision. That was a comment under that post. So someone was saying the education campaign should have begun before we start to talk about the vaccines, and someone is basically saying that those who have taken the vaccine are government officials and medical practitioners, medical professionals, and so they would have more information about the vaccine. I remember coming across a comment which says that they took the vaccine, but they feel as if the government did not provide enough information, or rather enough information was not being provided on the vaccine. Then why did you take the vaccine? So if you feel that the government did not provide enough information on the vaccine, and you're here to say that they did not give you information, you don't know anything about the vaccine, why did you take the vaccine if you have no clue or have no knowledge of the vaccine. That seems to be quite crazy, and I can't understand why would anybody go and take a vaccine if they know nothing about it, and then complain and say that the government did not tell them anything about it, but they took the vaccine. Doesn't make any sense to me. We are winding down. It is 11 minutes past the hour of 1 here in our studios. We will end our program at 1:30. Again, thank you to all of you who have joined us via the Facebook and YouTube lives, as well as the other social media platforms. And thank you to those who have been engaging us with our WhatsApp number, which is 662-2204. So if your phone have no credit, or if you have no landline, you can send us a WhatsApp at 662-2204 and be a part of the discussion. Thank you guys so much for listening. I hope you guys are having a good afternoon. We'll take one more break to say thank you to our sponsors, and when we come back, we will wrap up our program for today.
Get ready for an exciting year with Flow Broadband and TV, connecting you at home. Sign up now and get a free Samsung tablet worth over $900. Up to 100 megabits per second blazing internet will keep everyone on top of everything every day. While Flow TV delivers the best home entertainment with the latest shows on demand in HD, plus favorites you can record. Visit your nearest Flow store today to sign up for Flow Broadband and TV and get your free Samsung tablet. Conditions apply.
Horseroads Building and Nevis Centers are making lawn and garden easy. Come to Horseroads Building and Nevis Center now and get 25% off store-wide on our entire lawn and garden department. Yes! For the months of February and March, Horseroads Building Center and Nevis Center is making improving your lawn and garden easy with 25% off all garden supplies, garden equipment, garden accessories, including weed eaters, lawnmowers, and much more. Get 25% off all lawn and garden items happening now at Horseroads Building Center in St Kitts and Nevis. Horseroads Building and Nevis Centers, making home improvement easy.
We have a call. Welcome back to Voices. Caller, you are live.
Well, good afternoon again, right?
Good afternoon.
Whether they educate people about the vaccine today, tomorrow, later, earlier, people still will attack. They will attack. I asking everybody, be safe, go out and get vaccinated. Because what happened to in other countries, I don't want in St. Kitts. If the Prime Minister, they play careless, look, they were talking about he got them locked down and this another border open, and people start to come in and people were dying. You'll see everybody start to blame the Prime Minister. Or he opened the border and people come in. I go out. Ain't nothing to the vaccination. Something wrong with the people, them, bro. Listen to them. Some of them discouraging you and they never take the vaccine yet to see how the vaccine be. But they're coming on the way, they're talking about they want this vaccine. It ain't making no sense. Him doctors and all do it, discouraging people. You go college for all them years to be a doctor. And here you come with this kind of nonsense. A doctor is supposed to come on the radio and educate people about the vaccine and encourage you to take it, not discourage you. Asking everybody, man, come on. You know, when they had the crime in St. Kitts, nobody could address the crime. And when the government get in and he do something to slow down the crime, they still talk. Or they get in fair. Nobody get in fair to take the vaccine. Who do want to take it? I don't have to take it. And that's all I got to say. Because a lot of stupid people talking something. Sorry to call them stupid. Talking nonsense and discouraging people. Ain't nothing to the vaccination. We getting vaccination since we're small. when you get vaccination, most of the time you're going to get a little high fever or something. Even you can't tell to the doctor. And again, the doctor get the child a shot. The doctor tell you the child develop a fever, give some Tylenol. Some people body react different. It mightn't do you nothing, but it might do me. I have to say to unvaccinate. Aye.
Thank you so much, caller, for your input. We have some comments here on the WhatsApp number. Thank you guys so much for your input. So there is a comment that says, I took my whole family to take the vaccine, a family of 5. I also encouraged 3 others who also took it the next day. I am fine along with 4 others, no side effects, while the others had normal side effects such as a slight headache, a pain in joints, and a fever, but all is back to normal. That was someone who sent us a message via the WhatsApp number. There is another comment which says, it is sad the lady caller who encouraged the folks to take the vaccine had her agenda to misquote the good doctor. He simply said, people are asking if it's water in the injection. He did not say that water was in it. The good doctor also stated that he like others, are waiting to see what Cuba will come out with. Okay. I hate it when grown people come out with their rubbish. They must stick to the truth. All of a sudden, people in the Federation has forgotten the doctor's great contribution to the fight against HIV in the region. The man is respected for his work globally. Please take the vaccine for yourself, family, and friends. That is another comment. If the vaccine contains a part of the virus, from what I'm understanding, let the doctors and those who are encouraging people to take the vaccine tell us what the virus stemmed from. I'm not sure if I quite understand that last comment. If whoever sent that comment, could you rephrase that a bit? I'm not sure if I quite understand that. But thank you guys so much for your input. We are still taking your messages via WhatsApp at 662-2204. And of course, we are still taking your calls at 466-0989, 762, and 662. Yes, there are people out there who are saying that they will not be taking this vaccine. They are going to wait to see what other countries, such as Cuba, as referred to in this message, will come out with. And some persons are saying that they want to take this vaccine instead of that vaccine, which is fair. I mean, people are entitled to their own opinion, and if you feel that you should not take this one, or if you don't feel safe about taking that one, that is your opinion. But again, I would just encourage people to do their research and contact your local practitioner, your physician, and ask them if it's okay for you to take the vaccine. But continue to do your research and learn more about the vaccine. What I would say, this is just to, and I guess it would be a bit controversial, but or maybe not. But I've realized with the entire vaccine process that there has been a lot of politics, man, and it's sickening. It is sickening. It is sad, and it is rather disappointing that we just don't know when to put aside the politics. We don't know when to. Maybe it is because we have elections so often, because when we have elections here in St Kitts every 5 years, Nevis has another election. We just came out of an election in 2020, and Nevis will be having an election in maybe next year or whatever. But there's a time and a place for everything. We really got to take the politics out of situations such as these. COVID would have been here whether it was this government or that government. Let us take this call. Good afternoon, caller. You are live on Voices.
Well, you really can read mine.
I actually took up my phone to call to say what you said. I will sit back down. A lot of these, I don't know and I don't know pure politics. It's like when you hear them say, what's I John? You know, that kind of thing.
Right.
Not everybody. But it becomes ridiculous when people who put up themselves as political leaders make those statements. You're talking about intelligent people. Two doctors, you know. Dr. Denzel Douglas and Dr. Terence Drew. Well qualified. I mean, Dr. Douglas has not practiced, but I'm sure he has not forgotten. I have not practiced my skill for you, but I still know. You ask me a question, I can tell you. So, unlike other people, he knows information that he pretending. And the choice between the Cuban one and the other one is politics, ideologies, you understand? It's ideologies, you know? Because the truth is nobody knows what is in the Cuban one either. And all of them are designed to do the same thing, to build up immunity in your body. That is it. But you know, this politics thing, and I said to myself, is no wonder. We have such poor leadership qualities in some of our politicians. They don't get it. They don't get it. They think their job is to oppose everything. All politicians that go for this set and the next set and the other set. They see it as their job to oppose, whether it is good or bad. And you know, the hurtful thing to me is that most, if not all of them, are university graduates. Have their bachelor's, their master's, and their PhD, and sometimes they were the reason make ordinary people feel shame. You know, if you were in there, because we're not talking about some makeup party, you would have had to deal with it. You would have had to deal with it. And something again, most, if not all, the measures that are being used are agreed upon by CARICOM. You aware of it?
Oh, could you repeat that? Sorry?
Most of the measures that are being used in the countries.
Right. Oh, yes.
Yeah, they're agreed upon by CARICOM. I don't think sometimes people know that. It isn't like Dr. Harris just said, well, he's going to do this and do that. They have agreements. Some may tweak it. So if you were in, if he was in, he would have been doing the same thing.
Right.
You know, so I think our people, we give over our power to reason, to politicians. We do it, you know. Intelligent people are not doing it. They don't think for themselves. They just mouth. When I heard him make a statement about how he said some doctors told him that 3 persons died here with COVID symptoms. He could reason. If that was true, you would have community spread. Plain and simple, you know. You don't need no degree to reason that. Wherever they came from, it would have been there, wouldn't it? Whichever house or yard they came from, it would be in there. And by now it would have spread. So when you're saying ridiculous things, I mean, the people who following them should analyze, stop, let politicians reason for you.
Right.
I just said, you don't want it, you don't want it. You're not compelled to, not mandatory.
Right. Thank you, Ms. Henry, for your input.
Looking up to you. Please act responsibly. That's all I have to say.
Yes, so thank you so much for your input. It is 1:25. We have 5 more minutes left, so we will end our program at 1:30. There are some comments here on the Facebook Live where it says we need to continue with quarantine with persons who are coming into St Kitts and Nevis or visiting for vacation, and also returning nationals. We can't afford to get any coronavirus. I guess they're referring to any spread of the coronavirus disease. And they also said, I am very glad we did a good job of controlling the COVID-19 pandemic. That comment came from Gillian Morris. We also have Sandra Cassius, who's saying, kudos to you for encouraging folks to get the vaccine. I did, and we have to stop the fear mongering. It's either you take it or you don't. Simple. With regards to people putting politics in this whole vaccine thing, whether it was Denzel Douglas or Timothy Harris as the Prime Minister, we would have been in the same situation. Meaning COVID would have still come. COVID didn't come because it saw that Timothy Harris was the Prime Minister. Or COVID didn't come because it saw that Douglas was not the Prime Minister. So let us stop that right there. It doesn't make any sense for us to go down that road. It does not make any sense. If Denzel Douglas were the Prime Minister, I think we would have been managing the pandemic wonderfully. Just as what we're doing now. Timothy Harris is the Prime Minister and we are doing well. So there's no need for us to put politics into this thing. There are some people who only took the vaccine because Timothy Harris is the Prime Minister. And there are some people who refuse with their life to take the vaccine because Denzel Douglas is not the Prime Minister. That is the only reason why they ain't taking the vaccine, you know. Because Labour ain't in power. And then some of them taking the vaccine because Labour not in power. Are you stop the foolishness? There is no room for politics in this thing. None whatsoever. There is no room for politics in this thing. Because COVID ain't no, whether you use a Labour, a PAM, a CCM, a NRP, or a PLP. COVID ain't no. So there is no room for politics when it comes to COVID-19. I think that if Douglas was the Prime Minister, he would have done his best, as he's a medical doctor. That he became a doctor before he became a politician. And I think he would have done a wonderful job in managing the pandemic. However, we have to live with the reality. Timothy Harris is the Prime Minister. What you going to do? What you going to do? Wait till next election to do something about it. I can't do nothing about it. I can't snap my finger right now and say COVID go, or Timothy Harris go, or Douglas go, or Douglas come. We gotta stop putting politics in everything, man. It's very, very, very sickening, and it makes no sense. There's some people who took the vaccine know that if it was a different government, they would not take it. Oh, Lord, sorry for that laugh. That was a good laugh, but it's true. It is true. It is very, very much true. There are people out there running campaign. Take no vaccine. But let was the government in, or the politician in. And it, vice versa, the same thing. I taking it because that is my minister, and my minister said must take it. But you can't vex with people. You can't vex with people. People are interested in people, and if you see that a prominent politician took the vaccine, you would want to take it, because first thing you would say, well, he take it, so just see if I'm going to take it too. But I just want to encourage people to do your research before you go and take the vaccine. Don't take the vaccine and then cuss the government and say that the government didn't tell you anything about the vaccine. The government have said that it needs to be an all-of-society approach. If you don't know what all of society mean, go and ask Google. But all of society mean everybody play a part in educating the public about COVID, about the vaccines. Here at WINN FM, we are doing that. If you were listening, we explain to you how you can get vaccinated. We have had numerous programs about the vaccine. Some people have said we are having too much programs about the vaccine and about COVID. But we are playing our part in educating the public about the vaccine, about COVID, and what we think they need to know or they should know. All of us are not doctors, so we would not be able to give professional advice. But do your research, or encourage people to seek professional advice, or encourage people to consult with their doctor. Thank you guys so much for listening to Voices for Wednesday, March 3rd, 2021. I was your host for today. It was indeed a fun program. Let me say thank you to all of you who participated via Facebook, YouTube, WhatsApp, the radio, the website. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us. To those of you who were on Facebook and WhatsApp and YouTube, thank you so much for joining. Without your participation, this show would not have been a success. Thank you guys so much. Until next time, stay safe, wear your mask, wash your hands, and play your part in keeping St Kitts and Nevis safe. Not St Kitts alone, St Kitts and Nevis. And keeping St Kitts and Nevis safe from the pandemic. Have a fantastic Wednesday.
Horsewords Building and Nevis Centers are making lawn and garden